What's going on YouTube? Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, getter of buckets. What are we talking about today? We got to talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson's absurd transgender argument. Neil deGrasse Tyson apparently went out and bought him some clown shoes, painted his face, put on a big red nose, and started juggling or something, because apparently he's auditioning to be a clown. And the reason why is because his argument is so absurd. And we're going to listen to a little bit of it. And at the end of it, he says this one thing that really, really just grinds my gears. The old,
why do you care?
question. Why do you care? Why do you care if somebody wants to be transgender? You know, all right, we'll get into that. But here's the deal. Let's look at Neil deGrasse Tyson. Go ahead and paint his face like a clown and make a silly argument. Now, this is on Patrick Bet-David's channel. He was talking to Cenk Uygur about a variety of things. So this is the best clip I could find. So here we go.
Point is, apparently, the XXXY chromosomes are insufficient, because when we wake up in the morning, we exaggerate whatever feature we want to portray the gender of our choice. Either the one you're assigned, the one you choose to be, whatever it is. And so now, so now just to tie a bow on this, I say to you, somewhere I think I read that the United States was a land where we have the pursuit of happiness.
Yes.
Suppose no matter my chromosomes, today I feel 80% female, 20% male. I'm gonna put on makeup. I'm gonna do that. Tomorrow I might feel 80% male. I'll remove the makeup and I'll wear a muscle shirt. Why do you care?
Yeah. No one cares about it.
Why do you care? Okay. This guy literally is out here making the argument that it's so bizarre. Gender stereotypes and putting on makeup and putting on whatever, and how that makes you. I thought that stuff was, according to feminism, that's not what makes you a woman. You know, dressing like a girl, wearing makeup, wearing high heels, putting on female clothes. That has nothing to do with being a woman, according to the feminists. But now here we have Neil deGrasse Tyson saying, hey, if you feel like you're a girl, you might want to put on makeup and you might want to dress this way. That makes you, apparently that changes your sex. This is absurd. You know what's really interesting is that Neil deGrasse Tyson, puts himself out there like he's some purveyor of truth because he's of the new priesthood of the scientists, right? This guy believes in scientism, basically. And he doesn't say that. He wouldn't say that he believes in scientism, but scientism is effectively the idea that we can know all things through science. And this is an absurd proclamation because there are many things that cannot be proven through quote unquote science that are perfectly reasonable to believe. Like, for example, that there are other minds besides my own. I'm not the result of some computer program simulation like the Matrix, right? I believe those things. It cannot be proven scientifically that I am an actual real person and that there are other minds beside my own and that we are not in the Matrix. I can't prove that. There's no scientific proof that anyone can offer to that effect. But I'm perfectly reasonable to believe them. You cannot prove the laws of logic because science depends on the laws of logic. Therefore, to use science to prove the laws of logic is to argue in a circle. Basically, that other people love me and I love them. All of these things are not scientifically provable, although they are perfectly rational and reasonable to believe. So scientists and scientism fall short in many ways, and there are certain dimensions of knowledge that cannot be known by science. But Neil deGrasse Tyson and those of his ilk swear up and down that science is the end-all, be-all of knowledge, and it's simply absurd. But this is the guy who sits here and tries to lecture other people on what is effectively a metaphysical question. He's a scientist making metaphysical claims. And I don't understand why people of science think that just because they know how to work a test tube or they know how to look through a microscope, that now allows them to lecture us on philosophical and metaphysical issues. It has never been clear to me why they believe that, but he should actually go check with his other fellow atheists. And maybe Neil deGrasse Tyson doesn't deem himself an atheist, but, for all intents and purposes, he's an atheist. He should go talk to Richard Dawkins, because Richard Dawkins is all the way off the transgender thing. He's just like, look, I don't know what y'all are talking about. There's two sexes. It's absurd. And it tried to cancel him because he has that opinion. Well, he's an atheist. Richard Dawkins apparently he doesn't care. He's having none of it. And so he's expressing his opinion. But Neil deGrasse Tyson gets it wrong here because he's trying to make gender and sex something that is completely different, which is silly. Gender and sex is basically there's a whole thing. I won't bore you with it, but if you go look up the history of gender ideology, it was started by a guy named John Money, and he effectively did this experiment. I think this guy was pretty wicked and perverse. He had this couple who had two twin boys, and one of the boys, their penis was severely, basically botched by a terrible accident during an attempted circumcision. And so he believed that if you just raised a boy as a girl, because he believed that gender was a social construct, that he could be convinced that he was a girl. And so when these people went to this man, they said, hey, he's got a botched penis. Why don't you just raise him as a girl? He'll never know the difference because, gender is a social construct. Well, anyway, the long story is that kid ended up himself in his adulthood. When he became an adolescent, he realized that he wasn't a girl. He was terribly uncomfortable. He ended up living his adult life as a male, which is what he was. So it comes to find out that it was they couldn't convince the kid that he was a girl, even though they had told him he was a girl, since he was a very, very small child. And there's some other very disturbing facts about that story. So look it up. John Money, the father of modern gender theory. But the thing that grinds my gears, and this is the thing that I wanted to talk about on this situation, the why do you care question. I get so sick and tired of people pretending that these issues are not a matter of public life. You see, when something is a matter of public life, it is by definition something that involves people other than the person making the claim. That's why this whole thing, even about gay marriage, right? Everybody wants to say, why do you care? Because marriage is a public institution. It has to be honored by everyone. And if you're telling me that I have to honor it, right? If you're telling me that I can be held legally liable, socially liable, and I could lose my job, or I could do all of these things, except I adopt your view of the world and your view of marriage, that's a good reason to care. Because it's a public matter. It's not a private matter. If it was a private matter, then you go in your house and do what you want to do on your time, and then you can maybe ask me, why do I care? Even beyond that, it's not just about it affecting other people. There's a little something that we call empathy that I think is really important for people to have. Empathy is when you can put yourself in someone else's shoes and you can feel their pain, even though what they're going through doesn't exactly affect you, right? I could ask him, why do you care about poor people, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson or any of these guys that's on your screen lecturing you about transgenderism. Do you care about poor people? They probably would say yes. Well, why do you care? What does it matter what's happening to other people? That doesn't affect you. Do you care about the Ukrainians? You care about the war overseas? Why do you care? It doesn't affect you. See, they keep asking, why do we care about the transgender? You know why we care about them? Because we know that they're suffering. Vivek Ramaswamy, he actually spoke quite eloquently on this, where he talks about how transgenderism, gender dysphoria, is a condition of suffering forever and a day. We considered it a mental disorder. It is a condition of suffering. Imagine how uncomfortable you have to be with your life if you literally think you're in the wrong body. That's got to be a terrible place to be in. Why should we not care? And why should the only solution be not to change your body, but to change your mind? That's the thing that isn't quite clear to me. Why would I change? Why is the only solution to gender dysphoria or transgenderism to alter your body to fit your mind? Why not change your mind to fit your body? We care because it's a human issue. We care because it's a public issue. And it really does grind my gears when these so-called intellectuals pretend not to understand that. So this is why we care. We care because it's a public issue. We also care is because we have, I don't know, a whole suite of laws that are directed towards women. We have a whole suite of laws directed towards women. And you know what? Women, in particular, end up getting the short end of the stick whenever some guy thinks that he's in the wrong body. Well, if there are women's rights, if there are rights that are specifically for women, right? And we want to protect women and we want to secure those rights for them. That's another reason why we should care. Because when non-women start making the claims that are reserved for women, or trying to get rights that are reserved for women, then we should not let them infringe upon actual women's rights. It isn't clear to me why this isn't apparent. But in any case, I think it's important for us to not let people bully us with this who cares argument. We care because it's a human issue, not just because it affects us, and it's a public one. So let me know what you think. Do these sort of things annoy you like they annoy me? They certainly do. Do you think I shouldn't care? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, and subscribe this video if you're happy with what you see here. Till next time, my friends, God bless you.